in those tensions of, being at this table, then being at that table? What have those tensions felt like, and how have you navigated those?
First of all, it's first I've heard of the analogy, so I think it's great. So what was the question? What's my experience been?
Yeah, how have you navigated the tensions of leading and following?
Yeah, I think one thing I think I learned a long time ago is when I sit at the table that I sit at, that I'm not there to represent my teams. Like I'm not like the union rep that's at the table or the role. Because I think sometimes it's like I think that people feel like my job is to like fight for it. It's like, no, I'm there to
fight for all these guys over here.
I'm there because I'm one of the leaders of the church.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to be thinking about the church, you know. And my teams are there to help serve the mission of the church. Right? So it doesn't mean that any concerns that my teams have don't matter. It doesn't mean that at all, but it just means my posture isn't to be a voice at the table for my teams. And I think that's a leadership development thing that I think people have to learn, because when you first become a leader, a lot of people think, well, I'm here to advocate for my team, but the higher you get in the organization, the less it becomes about advocacy and the more it becomes about leadership, about leading, the church. And then in many ways, I'm a buffer. I don't know if the swivel chair is the right analogy or like a whole lot of padding between the senior leader and the rest of the organization. Not to make sure that his voice is muted, but to give him a place where he can be him and to understand sometimes even what might struggle to articulate. He's very articulate, obviously, Pastor Craig, but there's times even where I know him well enough to kind of know what his heart is, even when he's in a moment of frustration or when he's down or when he's whatever, that I can translate what I just heard into something that I know reaches the right outcome, for him. And I'm not trying to say I'm trying to correct him, because it's not really a correction thing. It really is a translation thing sometimes, because I understand how things can get done and how they can get done in the organization, but I have to kind of make sure I understand where he's at and understand it first.
So I think buffer is great, but I think translating is a great word. And so let's talk about that for a minute. Obviously, when your pastor has a safe space to process, you're going to get the best of him. You're going to get the process, and you're going to get the wrestle. He needs to feel safe to do so, obviously. So what do you think about when you get ready to go and translate, and you get ready to go and how do you process moving from there to there?
I'm a pretty transparent person, but at the same time I have a role to protect him, in some ways. So I think what I do a lot of times is I actually try to help the best I can the team to understand his heart, behind what he wants. Because I'm so transparent, that's the only way I really know how to do it. It's not that the team needs to understand and know everything. They don't need to know. They don't know every detail. They don't know whatever. But I want them to get the why, behind what we're doing.